All right, stream. Wait for it on Facebook. Move. There we go. Okay. Come on, show up. Yeah. Okay, we're good. Going live in 3, 2, 1. Fetch and stream. There we go. We're live. What's going on, everybody?
Hey guys, I'm in a different spot tonight.
You're in a spot that they never see you in.
No, I hate it.
I'm gonna share the stream on my account here.
I hate it.
Why don't you go ahead and get us started here, Dan the man, while I share our video.
All right. So tonight, Lawrence and I are talking about a few different things. Is our stream going? Because on my end it looks locked up.
Yeah, it's going.
Okay. So.
You chose an awesome location to do your stream tonight.
I got nothing.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Becky.
Hey, guys.
We'll give a minute for everyone to pop in here, but Dan can talk about his wonderful new location to stream from tonight.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting in my kitchen because my daughter's not been feeling well. She's in watching TV, where I'm normally sitting. So.
You know the best part about that
Which works out. I mean, it's fine.
If she's not feeling well and she goes to get sick,
I'm,
she's gonna run behind you to throw up.
Yeah.
And we're gonna hear.
She's better now. So.
Okay.
But the bad thing is I'm right in a high traffic area in the house, and plus the light comes from above, so my face is all like half.
Yeah.
So.
And I told Dan he can't wear his hat backwards. It looks weird.
So anyway,
it looks very weird.
Hi
Dawn.
So hey Dawn, hey Ashley, hi Becky, Adam. So anyway, guys, tonight we're talking attachments and things that Larry and I have encountered in the 10 years that we've been investigating together.
Yeah, I can be proud to say that we haven't experienced a large amount of them. But the ones that we have experienced were pretty bad.
Yeah,
Hi,
the first one that I ever experienced was actually out at the farm. And actually that was a place where the small town paranormal team
Hi, Jess.
investigated. Hi, Lucas.
Hi, Lucas.
And there was, yeah, I'm in a high traffic area, guys, so. Did you need something or?
Oh,
okay. So yeah, the first one that we experienced was at a farm out between my hometown of Kirkland and Sycamore, and it actually was not my attachment. It actually was an attachment to the house, and we actually did a cleansing and got rid of it. And that wasn't. Sorry. That wasn't too bad. I mean, he was a little bit nasty, but he wasn't anything real super bad. And that was when we worked with Patty, who was our sensitive at the time.
That was a long, long time ago.
Yeah, that was actually before I even ever met Larry. So
hey, Andrew. Yeah.
For that one. And
you were only running for what, like 6 months or so before I came along?
Probably, yeah. So, yes, Ashley, your magic did work. Hi, Jess. Hey, Andrew. So, okay. So anyway, since that first one, I've dealt with at least 5 since then. Larry has dealt with at least 2 or 3 of those remaining 5.
Yeah, and I had one that I was a part of that you weren't.
Yes. So, after that initial attachment, the next attachment that we got, or that I got, was actually my attachment, and
Right.
it actually followed me home from a spot that Larry and I refer to as the creepy church.
Now, I think before we get into the real attachments, not like, the first one, but like the real one, the follows you home, the messes with your family kind. I think we should talk about what we mean when we say, "Hi Pamela," a negative entity attachment. What is that? What kind of things do you experience? What kind of things have we seen that we've experienced or clients have told us, to kind of let everybody know either A, what we're talking about, or B, if they don't know what an attachment is, this will give them an idea.
Basically, what an attachment is, you guys, is a negative, and you can have a positive entity attachment. Um, but a negative entity decides to
Hi, Holly.
become disruptive. Hi, Holly. Um, becomes disruptive in your household, um, or in your life. Uh,
It could be your workplace, household, a random
it,
field,
it can
cemetery.
be anywhere. It can be anywhere, and basically is a negative entity attachment or a positive entity attachment. Um, Not only do we have all the traffic, but the dog won't shut up. I'm about to become possessed real quick. Anyway,
Hulk smash.
um,
Hi, Sandy.
yeah, I'm gonna go into Hulk smash mode here in about 2 seconds. Uh, Anyhow, you can get those attachments, and the big difference is because everybody's on the demon craze. Dog, you need to shut up. I
Poor,
swear to
poor,
God,
poor
Larry,
buddy.
it's gonna be me killing him live on air.
He knows you're so close, and he wants a pet. He wants
I
out.
know, and that's what's bugging him is because he's right out there, and I can't let him in the house because he was out and he's digging, and his paws are all dirty and
Mm.
muddy, and
Hi,
he's not
Russ.
going to track it through my house. So
How's it going,
anyway,
Russ?
hey Sandy and Russ, Adam says going to kill Zach Bagans or pull a Zach Bagans.
Yeah, right.
No, I already did that once. Anyway, it's an entity, guys. It was a human spirit at one time.
Not always, though.
Um, Not always, but anything that I have dealt with has at one time been a human spirit or a human was alive at one time. Let's put it
Right.
that way. Whereas, since everybody's all part of the demon craze, or wants to believe that everything's demonic. Hey, Steve Wren. Um, it's not the case, guys. Not everything out there is a demon. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
uh,
Pamela. Dan's head will spin around. I guarantee it.
well, if it does, you'll hear a big pop, and that'll be the end of Dan. But for lack of a better term, it's basically a grumpy ghost, or just a negative entity that for whatever reason finds you interesting and says, you know what, I'm going to go cause some turmoil in their life for a while.
And
And
they feed off of that too,
yes, so your fear feeds them.
or anger,
Your
anger,
your
anger
uh,
too.
your anger feeds them. Your anxiety feeds them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one thing that I always tell everybody when they're dealing with an attachment of any kind is, you feel that it's not a controllable situation, but you already maintain control because you have the body. You are you are what they are. Lexi, get that dog out of here right now. Put him outside. I don't care.
Oh, poor buddy.
I'm telling you, Larry, right now. I'm going to cut my feed and I'm going to deal with stuff, and then I may or may not be back if it gets too bad.
Sounds like Dan
So,
might have an attachment.
yeah, well, somebody's going to have an attachment.
Yeah.
And my 18-year-old and I will be having a long talk after I'm done with this feed about doing what she's told. So, anyway, at least while she's under my roof.
Hmm.
So, anyway, um, and then that, you know, for whatever reason they take interest in you. They decide, hey, I got nothing better to do with eternity. Let's go mess with this person. And a lot of them, that's what they do. Um, Such as my attachment. Uh, we were at a spot that, like I said, Larry and I referred to as the creepy church. We had been there a number of times. Um, for whatever reason, uh, this night we had people with us. Can you please turn the TV down just a bit?
Julie Ward, do your loved ones that have passed away follow you? They can, if they choose
They
to.
can, Julie. They can. Um, Andrew just brought up a point, just something to point out. Some attachments aren't direct. Sometimes you've got to notice yourself if you're acting out of character.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some attachments can only last when you're at a location. Some follow you home,
Right.
such is the case with this one. So basically, the attachment that followed me home, uh, Larry and I didn't leave a location when we should have. I described it to Larry when it happened, and thankfully, thank God for Sandy and Russ, and then for some other friends in the field because they helped us get rid of it. But it was
We were pretty inexperienced at the time.
yeah, it was messing with my daughter. My daughter kept seeing, you know, figures in her room, dark shadows in her room. It would stand at the door and mess with her. My son was, geez, not even barely over a year old, so he was just a little guy. It really seemed to take a lot of pleasure in messing with my daughter. Now, my daughter has abilities as well, so probably one of the reasons it messed with her because she could see it and he knew she could see it. Um, I'm not sensitive or anything, but I could actually tell that he was in the house. I was actually talking to a friend of mine. Tom Coder was his name, or is his name, and Tom is sensitive and has sensitivity, and he said he could feel it through the phone. When I talked to Sandy, Sandy said the same thing.
Hi, Amy and Anna.
Hi, Amy and Anna. Julie's asking, is it true about cardinals spelled wrong? I'm not understanding what you're asking me there, Julie.
That's a new one.
You might have to give me some background because I've heard of it. So anyway, through help from Sandy and Ross and from somebody else, and she chooses to remain nameless, and I'm going to respect her wishes. We got him out of the house.
Yeah. Why don't you tell the story of what brought on this whole attachment? Because it's a really good story.
Well, basically, we were out. We had some people out that we took on a ghost hunt. And Larry and I had been talking about the creepy church on Facebook for what, 2 months?
It just looks creepy.
Yeah, and it has a graveyard on the grounds. And we were out there. This is the same place where I was grabbed and drug over the fence. That's not the night I got the attachment.
No, you would think we would have learned from that though, but apparently not.
Right. So putting on the brave face and going in was the more manly thing to do. So we went back. We were there. I didn't feel right from the minute we drove up there. Should have listened to my gut. I didn't. Larry took my nephew Matt, who had his own team at the time, and a couple other people that were with us. Oh, you mean the birds, the cardinals? If cardinals come around, Julie. Yeah. Julie, I have heard that, and I actually want to kind of stave that for a different show if we can. It does kind of go with this, but since we're on a limited time crunch, I don't want to get sidetracked tonight. because I have four more stories that we have to talk about after this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, Julie. I don't mean to be insensitive to answering your questions. It's just that I want to stay on task tonight because I think this is an important show.
Yeah. Hi, Steve White.
Um, Hi, Steve. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. There's Sandra Wells, Sandra Oliveria. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that. I can't really see it all that well, so
I'm sure there's
I'm
going to be
hoping
some
I'm saying it
butchering.
right. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we were there. I told Larry I didn't feel right. I thought maybe because we had went out to eat before that, I thought maybe I was just a little under, something just didn't settle right or set right. And I told Larry, I said, you know what, take him up there. I'll stand back here by the car, and I'll
This
just
is
take
this is a
pictures.
matter of like what 30 feet from the car to where we were.
Right,
It's
right.
not very far.
No, not at all. So Larry took the group up there. I stayed back. And actually, I think Craig stayed back with me, Larry. And all I can tell you guys is the whole time that I was standing back at the car watching these guys do their thing, I felt like there was a bullseye on my back. I felt like there was something keying on me. Um, all I can explain it to is I felt like a sniper had me in its sights. Uh, and um, I started feeling really sick. I started getting really sick to my stomach. Uh, my buddy Craig even looked at me and said, "Man, are you all right?" I said, "Man, I just don't feel good." He goes, "Well, do you want to go?" I said, "No, let them do their thing." Right then and there is when I should have yelled across to Larry and said, "Hey, we got to scoot. We're done." Um, I stayed there. I braved it out. Larry, that was the same night that you guys saw something in the church.
I was taking pictures with a really crappy point and shoot camera. Um, and I'm sitting there, I'm taking pictures kind of around the grounds and whatnot.
Yeah, but
And
you guys both saw it with your naked eyes. You didn't even see it through the camera.
I was getting to it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm taking pictures. Can I go on? Am I good? Got this. I'm taking pictures, and then in front of me, the large window was on the second floor. I'm about to turn your webcam off. And I go to take a picture, and I don't look at the screen of the picture. I look past the screen at what I'm looking at. I snap the picture, and in the flash, I see two people standing in the window. Not through the screen, through the window itself. And I think, oh my God, there's somebody in there.
At 2 in the morning.
At 2 in the morning, looking out, two people looking out the window. So I go, oh man, we should probably go because all the hair on my arm just went poof. So we end up backing out, and then that's when I got back to Dan at the car.
And that's when Larry finds out that I've been sick the whole time that they're you know dealing or what they saw, and he just now found out that I was sick.
Right.
So thanks, Julie. I'm sorry. If you want to message us on the side, I would be more than happy to discuss it with you, or we can actually probably do a show that maybe we can actually have Sandy come on to the show with us that night, and she actually is much more able to answer that stuff than I am, in all honesty. So Sandy Wells, if you're still here, if you would be willing to come on a show with us to answer questions like that, and Julie will actually do a show dedicated just to the things that you're asking. So
Adam, the creepy church is literally in the middle of nowhere. It's
yeah,
just a small
it's
community church with a graveyard surrounded by
yes,
cornfields.
yes. And the thing about the church is that it is uh, it is about halfway between the town of Kirkland and Sycamore as the crow flies. It's out in the middle of nowhere, and they were having problems with their pastor at the time. You know, they were having issues to. I think that the incoming pastor was she was new to the congregation. She was gay. They did not like that. They were really up in arms because they didn't want a pastor. they had a hard time. You guys gotta think. I live out here in the boondocks, so everything's still pretty old fashioned. And guys, can you just keep it down just a little bit? They can hear everything you guys are saying. Um, so Larry, I swear to God.
Mhm.
Um, so they were up in arms, number one, because the pastor was a female. They were up in arms because the pastor was in fact gay. So there was a lot of turmoil in the congregation at the time, and I think that coupled with me not feeling quite right and us being out of our element. Like Larry said, you would think after I got yanked over the fence, we would have learned the first time.
Yeah, and we went back a third time as well, so apparently not.
No, so if Sandy and Russ are available, or if they're able to come back here in July like they're planning, I am going to return to the creepy church with Sandy and Russ.
Yeah.
And just because the attachment got sent out of my house doesn't mean he's not still there. It just means he can't come back here.
Right.
So
Now, there's a couple things that we definitely need to mention, though, because you forgot them and didn't mention them. And they're
about
very,
this
very.
twin set.
No, that's not even to that yet.
Oh, okay.
When we got back to the car.
Oh yeah.
That's all very, very important information.
Yeah, we got back to the car and I was basically doubled over in pain. And Larry and Craig were discussing Jesus crime and did he get food poisoned? Should we go to the hospital? And I'm like, no, just drive. Let's just go. And literally, you guys,
Hi, Pat.
the farther we got away from the church, the better I felt.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we made it onto a main road, I was fine.
Right. So while he's sitting there driving and feeling like death, I'm going through the camera that I just took a picture with. And we had some really interesting pictures come out of that night. Unfortunately, they're lost to time. I have no idea where they're at. Sadly.
Pages.
Yeah, right. Longer. Right. But two main pictures came out of that. Number one, there was a picture of a man and a woman standing in that window. It wasn't crystal clear like you're seeing us through like the webcam. It was just basically a very thin outline. But you could make out details on their faces, some of the clothing, like the man's collar on his shirt. You can make that out. But it was a crystal clear man and a woman. Another picture was in the cemetery itself, and we had a side-by-side. It looked identical to a nun's habit.
It did.
Identical. So, how that contributes to the congregation's feelings of the female pastor, I don't know.
Yeah, because it wasn't a Catholic church, and it never was a Catholic church as far as I know.
And as far as we've been told, it wasn't like an old priest or something that attached itself to Dan. It was just a dude. So, whether maybe the spirits were upset with that given situation, and Dan was just the easiest target, I don't know.
Well, that night I was because, and after experience and stuff, if you're not feeling good and you're not feeling up to par, you probably shouldn't be out ghost hunting.
No, any pain, headache, back pain especially, don't go. If you're feeling kind of dizzy, kind of nauseous, don't soldier through it. If you're not at 100%, reschedule. It's not worth the risk. Because, for someone like us who have kids, or a lot of you have kids, it's not worth it to bring it home to them and then have the attachment jump from you to them now, and they're not able to deal with it. And I'll tell you right now, and Dan here can attest to the fact, as a parent, you cannot deal with your kids having attachment.
No, it's a rough thing, guys. And just remember, and I've said this on numerous live feeds, and I'll say it right now on Paramania. Larry's son didn't sign up for this. My daughter and son and wife didn't sign up for this. This is something I do, and it's pretty bleak when you bring something bad home.
Yeah.
And he wasn't inherently evil, but he was a bad dude. He was just, for lack of a better term, an ass bag. And he took great joy in messing with my daughter.
Let's talk about some of the things that
And
he did up until the night we got rid of him.
so one of the things that he did was, like I said, he kept standing in her doorway. He kept standing in her room. He would go and pull the blankets off of her. Never really messed with my son and my wife,
But
because
if Lexi was sensitive, though, that makes sense.
right, right, yeah, he was actually going to and we didn't know Lexi was sensitive until just a few years ago. So she was pretty small. She was 8 years old. She was pretty small when that attachment followed me home. But literally, you guys, when I figured it out was I was standing out in my backyard and I was talking on the phone with Larry, and my kids had a swing set and there was two swings on it, and there was no wind that night, and one of the swings started swinging on its own and picking up momentum, picking up speed, and just kept sitting. And I'm sitting here telling Larry, "You're not going to believe this shit, but one swing is totally like somebody's on there pumping their legs, and the other one is totally calm, still." The whole time the swing was swinging, I felt like somebody was taunting me, like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm here to stay, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it."
Yeah.
I couldn't see anybody or hear anybody, but the feeling was definitely there. So that's when we decided, this is more than what we can handle. We contacted Sandy and Russ. Sandy and Russ made a few contacts for us, and that was about 2 nights before we got it out of here.
This was the
And
wildest experience I've ever been on.
yeah,
I mean,
so
this was early in our ghost hunting adventure together, but it still
yeah,
tops one of the top 10 easily. Top 5.
yeah, absolutely. And I Holly says she has two autoimmune diseases and loves to ghost hunt. As long as you protect yourself, Holly, that's fine. I mean, um,
Obviously, you're all
but
grown adults and you make decisions on your own.
right. I'm just saying, if you're, if it's something out of the norm that you don't deal with, Holly, um, you know, uh, you may want to reconsider it that night. But if it's something that you deal with on a day, if somebody has cancer and they love to ghost hunt and it doesn't affect them to ghost hunt, and they're okay with it. I mean, who am I to? I'm
Yeah.
just saying something out of the normal that you don't deal with.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I have
the flu
PTSD.
or
PTSD, you affected by it every single day. But I still
right,
ghost hunt. But in the days where like I
right,
have a headache or my hip hurts or my back hurts, I'm not going.
yeah, yeah.
Except that one
If I
time
have,
we had something very special to do and my back was hurting and we still went and did it. But
yeah, and thankfully he didn't get an attachment, but
right, you did a lot of the heavy lifting that day too.
he could have, and so we opt to, you know, and if Larry and I feel okay, and somebody on the team doesn't want to go, then we just tell them, then just don't come tonight. That's fine. We can. I mean, Larry and I have conducted a lot of investigations when it's just been him and I in the middle of those cemeteries. So
Yeah.
it's great to have Steve and Andrew and Tessa there with us, but I mean, we can investigate with just two of us if we really have to.
Right.
And we've done that a numerous amount of times. So when we did the cleansing, we literally uh, we literally did the cleansing in the house. Larry can attest, there was shit moving around the house and there was nobody in here that we could see.
Right.
Um, it actually sounded like, I'm not going to get into the specifics of what happened. All I'm going to say is that when we finally pushed him out of the house and Larry shut the door, and we actually sealed the door with holy water and sea salt, it sounded like there was a fight going on in my front yard. I mean, a down and out, drag out fight, like two people were just going at it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, a gigantic calm just went over the house.
Right.
And I actually went down in the basement because
I was down there too.
but then you came upstairs because
No, I was down there.
you were down there. But then you came upstairs because we lost reception with Sandy. Remember?
Yeah, but I was down in the basement with you the whole time though.
You were down there, well, except for the time when I turned around and nobody was there, but I felt somebody's hand on my shoulder.
Oh
You weren't down
well,
there when that happened because
no,
I turned around and I was expecting Larry to, say, "Hey, are you okay?" I turned around and there's nobody there, but yet I felt a hand on my shoulder.
yeah,
Really strange. So anyway, there was shit moving around that basement. I mean, being violently pushed around, thrown around. Larry was giving Sandy the play-by-play. Then all of a sudden we lost reception. That's when he had to run upstairs, recall her on the phone, and it was a crazy situation. But we got the rotten bastard out of the house.
a couple
So
highlights from that situation from me. We're being basically told what was happening because we can't see it. You
right,
know, I can't see ghosts, but
no,
we
I
were
can't
being
either.
told what was happening. So, we'd be told, well, they just moved into the living room. So me and Dan are in, to your right, Dan, where the dog is, like a porch area.
Yeah, this way.
And we look into the living room and we see stuff moving in the living room. Like the blinds of those little twist sticks where they kind of, you twist it and it opens up and closes the blinds, starts swaying. It's like,
You'd see the blinds actually get slammed up against the window.
yeah, like stuff is moving as it corresponds to what we're being told was going on. It was totally insane. And then we're in the basement closing out the very last corner of the house. And Dan, you said something along the lines of give us a sign or something like that, right?
No, that was a different cleansing in this house.
Was that the other one?
Yeah, that was the other one when Lexi something followed her home.
I mix them all up. Continue
Yeah.
on. Continue on.
No, we didn't get a sign that night. We just were told it was gone. And actually, Larry and I could both tell that the house felt just 100% better to be in.
Was that the one where my Civil War soldiers were with us, or is that the second
Mm-hmm.
one?
No, that was the first one.
The first one. Me and Dan had did the restoration for Bloods Point Cemetery, and apparently two soldiers that were really appreciative of the efforts we put in decided to positively attach themselves to me.
And this is where we're talking about a positive attachment.
Right. So this was a positive attachment to me personally. Both of them hung around for many years, actually,
And
until
then all of a sudden
finally
it was gone.
I told him to go.
Yeah.
I was giving up the paranormal for a little while, and I'm like, listen, you guys have been with me this whole time. I'm sure you have better stuff to do. And I told him, go do what you want to do now. And that was it. I haven't seen him or felt him since. But, my positive attachment started right after Blood's Point. And Sandy, I think it was you that told us that they were there. Because
Mm-hmm.
we're in the basement looking into the corner, after we had just sealed the very last corner of the basement. And I swear there was an army behind us. You could feel an entire army behind us in that basement.
Yeah, it was wild. It
Definitely
was
very,
definitely
very
wild.
strange. Hi,
Now,
Melissa. How's it going, Melissa?
hey, Melissa, the second attachment was a kid, and actually Larry wasn't with me on this one. And I actually once more recruited Russ and Sandy.
Hi, Luke.
It's my son. I actually recruited Russ and Sandy's help. My wife's walking by again. For this one as well,
It's a
and
family affair.
I actually got a call from a friend who also has psychic abilities, and she called me out of the blue and said, "I know you're dealing with something heavy right now, but you have to take it on by yourself. All we can do is direct you." And it really hit itself from Sandy. It really hit itself from Ross, and it really hit itself from this other hi Brad.
Hi, Brad.
It really hit itself from this other person who also chooses to remain nameless. Um,
It's fine.
but she did have a lot of experience in the paranormal, and
They're loud.
so yeah. Anyway, it was on a boy. I actually go into great detail in the blog that I wrote. It's a 3-part blog. I actually shared it here the other night. And if you want to read that blog, it probably gives a lot more detail than what I'm going to go into. But that was a tough one. There was some very strange happenings that went on there, and it was really tough. Before Larry and I really decided to get the Ghost Hunter Dan project going full fling again, and we just started doing lives again. Well, we just started doing lives. I actually talked about this, Larry, about a year and a half ago, and somebody in chat asked me, "Jesus, Dan, are you all right? You're crying," and I was like, "Huh?"
Oh yeah, I remember.
And there was tears streaming down my face, and I'm not a crier, so
I remember. Yeah,
don't ask me why. Um,
you were touched emotionally.
yeah, it was very draining. Um, so anyway, my feed has stopped for some reason, Larry. I can no longer see chat or anything. So
Oh
I'm just going to keep talking.
yeah, go ahead. I'll answer chat.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully it comes. Hopefully, we're still streaming.
Yeah, we are
So
still up,
um,
still
it's
going.
probably just me. Um,
Melissa says not to get mad at the fam.
so, like I said, I really want you guys to read the blog because I think the blog, I wrote it when it was still very, very fresh in my mind. There still are things that I can account, but I'm going to actually direct you to the blog. We will go through and share the 3 parts of that blog again after the broadcast, and you guys can read it for your amusement and amazement, whatever you want to do. It was an unbelievable situation. I you know I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't experienced it myself. Uh,
Isn't didn't you witness
the
something
third
with that one?
attachment. What do you mean when it was on my roof?
So maybe.
Because I was going over to see the priest at the church, and I literally every time that I would call somebody, either Sandy or this other person, hi Heidi, Sandy or this other person that helped me out, the phone would literally get all scratchy, and you could hear voices and growling on there. And that was basically this kid's attachment trying to scare me away. And I wasn't buying it. I mean, by this time, I had done a few cleansings, and we're only talking about attachments tonight, not cleansings. But I had done a few cleansings. I had tussled with things in different locations, and so it didn't scare me off. I mean, it wanted to,
Yeah.
but it didn't have very good luck. So thankfully, I was able to get the attachment off this kid because the attachment in of itself was not you know bad. It happened to be another kid that just longed to have somebody with him, and
The problem was how he planned to do that.
right, he was actually telling the kid, and I heard it through EVPs that I took in the kid's house, that he was trying to get the kid to kill himself. He was basically telling the kid, the kid told me in his dreams that he could see another boy. And he kept saying, "Come over with me. It's so much better over here with me." So, and I was picking up little snippets in an EVP. I had put a recorder in his room unbeknownst to him, and I heard it. So, and that's not something that I'm ever going to share anywhere because we don't tape cleansings and stuff, but I don't release that information to everybody because that's real personal stuff to some people, and they don't like that. So anyway, that was probably one of the worst ones I dealt with. I dealt with another one here in the house. Now that's the one where something had followed my daughter home. I called Larry and my sister. We all 3 of us. My sister and I did a cleansing first with sage. Didn't seem to work. And she just happened to be home. She lived in Oklahoma at the time. She helped me do the cleansing, and it didn't work. She had went home back to Oklahoma, and I called Larry and I said the cleansing that Julie and I did not work. So we redid the cleansing with holy water, And that was the one to where Larry and I covered every inch of the house from top to bottom, even around the outside. We sealed everything with sea salt and holy water.
And St. Michael's
We were
medallions.
standing, and the St. Michael's medallions. We were standing in the living room, and I said, if you're gone, give us a sign. And all of a sudden, guys, it felt like the fucking house went ka-zoom and jumped off of the foundation. And he looked at me with these saucer-sized eyes, and I'm sure my eyes were just as big as him. And Larry goes, "What the fuck was that?" And I said, "I guess it left." And everything.
Imagine being in an earthquake, which a lot of you probably have been, except instead of going side to side, it went up and down.
It was one quick jump.
And you're inside of it, though.
It literally felt like the house went.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. Pardon my French, but that's exactly how it went down.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy too.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. I am seeing chat. Our stream has froze on my end, Larry. So as long as you say we're still streaming, I'll still talk.
Still streaming.
So the next one after that, I actually got an attachment out of a house. That was after Larry and I kind of took a step back from the paranormal. This was something I did on my own. The attachment was more towards the house, and I don't even think I really ever discussed this one with Larry a whole lot. You were kind of on sabbatical doing your own thing, so I don't think I was really bothering you with shit. But that one, I actually, Patty and I cleansed that house. And basically, the attachment was in the house and it was attached to other ghosts. He was kind of, for lack of a better term, bullying the other ghosts in the house and not allowing them to, do or cross over or whatever, And basically, we cleansed the house of the attachment. And the real cool thing about that is the people. Now, we had been to this farmhouse several times and documented some pretty wild stuff. After Patty and I did the cleansing, there was no activity there ever again. So every spirit that was there, that was being held there by this guy, was able to then cross over. He was holding them there. And somebody says, I didn't know that could happen. Oh, that was Larry answering Melissa.
Yep.
How did somebody push you out of chat?
I didn't know that could happen.
That's crazy. Maybe it was an attachment. Last attachment
before you talk about the very, very last one, let me tell mine first.
Yeah, go for it.
Are you gonna do the last one from the Egyptian? That one?
Yes.
Okay, then mine comes first in the whole chronological order, because it happened as a result of the one that I did.
Yes, Larry should have asked me for my help, and he didn't.
I didn't need your help. I handled it just fine.
Apparently.
It's not this. This was completely different.
Who had to mop up after your mess?
This was Tessa's mess, not my mess.
Who mopped up?
Tessa's mess, not my mess.
Well, anyway, get on with it, and then I'll
tell
my story.
So this was actually just after Tessa joined the team. Yes. And there was a classmate of ours that was having an issue with his wife. His wife was basically exhibiting all the signs of having an attachment. It was particularly nasty. A lot of the same things that Dan was dealing with Lexi. The shadows in the doorways and stuff like that. So Tessa first went over there by herself to deal with it. I live about a half hour away, so I went to the store to stock up on some things that I personally use for my cleansings. I'm not really religious, so I don't use holy water and stuff unless Dan's there, and then I'll use it, but that's more for him than for me. I use a lot of sea salt and stones and stuff like that. So I picked up some sea salt lamps for them and a little thing of sea salt and basically brought it with me. And her attachment, because I'm not going to talk about what had caused it, but her attachment basically was the sum of over a decade's worth of negative emotions that have been repressed so much to the point that they
Can you shut that door,
basically
please?
took on a life of their own. This is called negative entity manifestation. It manifested
Hey,
a
Fred.
ghost. It's not very common. Most people don't deal with the super heavy stuff to where they can create a ghost pretty much. Um, but it had taken on so much of her emotions that it was just as negative as what she was feeling. So we went there and I did the cleansing on her, and she felt a million times better. Well, come to find out that while I'm sitting there guarding myself and protecting myself, apparently Tessa wasn't. And this negative energy manifestation, because it spawned from this woman, as soon as you basically cleanse her, it doesn't exist anymore. As soon as you break that link, it's gone. It dissipates. It goes off to whatever it goes, without getting too sciencey. Unfortunately, we were not aware at the time that there was another spirit in the building, and we weren't really paying attention to that. I was focused on the woman and the cleansing, and Tessa, I, I don't know, maybe she wasn't protecting herself well enough, or maybe she was trying to protect me and didn't protect herself, but she ended up with the attachment.
Or maybe it's just because you guys were so focused on the other one that, you know, kind of like the sneak attack from behind.
Not on me, because I was focused on keeping myself good.
Right, but her.
Right? Yeah, she wasn't
And you got to
expecting it.
think, she was very new to this at the time.
Right? Yeah, she didn't really know how to protect herself well enough in that situation.
Hey, Mandy.
She's since talked to Sandy a whole lot and learned a whole lot of new things. So yeah, but so Dan, now your story picks up basically where mine left off.
So then, Master Larry goes on vacation. And
I
I
was
get a
not
call.
aware of the attachment when I went on vacation.
No, you weren't. You weren't.
It's not like I
Um,
said, "Hey, go to Dan. I'm gonna go on vacation. Have fun."
that is probably actually how it went down. Um,
If only.
anyway, I got a call from Tessa, and she had apparently talked to Sandy a little bit, and she had this attachment. And so, we talked a little bit. I said, well, Tessa, this is the way that we're going to get rid of it. I said, I have talked to Sandy. I said, this is the way I've done it in the past, and this is the way we're going to do it. Now, thankfully, Tessa is Catholic as well as I'm a recovering Catholic, but everything that I do, guys, is based on the Catholic religion.
She's recovering
Um,
too.
and well, I would say Tessa's more of a practicing Catholic than I am. But anyway,
Eh.
anyway, uh, I had taken her to the church that I had taken the boy to. And one of the important things that I want to say is during the time that I was dealing with the attachment on the boy, the only time I ever felt comfortable in that whole 3 to 4 day stretch was when I was in the church. Any other time I felt like this thing was constantly messing with me to try to get me to not do the cleansing on the kid. And I actually took the kid there to the church and did the cleansing. So thankfully there was a priest there that didn't have me committed and actually worked with me, and it worked out really well. So Tessa and I went to the church. The church was closed. We could not get in there. Now I met her there, and when I pulled into the parking lot, I guys, like I said, I'm not sensitive. I'm not psychic. I don't have abilities. Sandy, you're going to disagree with me. I don't have abilities in any way, shape, or form. But I do have that gut instinct, and I can tell when things get really heavy. And when Tessa pulled into the parking lot, it was really heavy. And I didn't feel comfortable leaving the church grounds and have her leave with that attachment. So we walked around every door. We could not get in. I wish Tessa was in chat right now.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing.
That's okay. But anyhow, uh, there was a statue of St. Mary outside the church with a nice little bench. And this was in, you were on spring break, Larry, so this was in early March. Um, there's no blooms out early in March, and and I'm going to get to the reason I just said that in a minute. So Tessa and I sat at the statue of St. Mary. I actually brought some holy water with me. Um, we had said some prayers. I had done some prayers out of my book, and I basically told, I basically bound it. I did a binding, and Tessa never saw it, but for me, after I was done doing the binding and the deliverance prayer to get it out of there, I looked over at Tessa, you guys, and believe it or not, I know what I saw. There was literally a black shadow standing right next to Tessa, and it took off running. It went right through the church. There's like a glass hallway in this church. Larry, I've taken you to the church.
It's a
It
nice
ran
church.
through, it ran through the hallway, through the walls, and on the other side, it was literally the shape of a man, but it was a shadow, a black figure, and it literally looked like something just grabbed it and it just went and snapped out of existence. And all of a sudden, I said, Tessa, it's gone. And she goes, how do you know? I said, can you smell the flowers? And if she was here, her and I could clearly smell flowers. It smelled like a whole orchard of blooming flowers. Now, this was early March, guys. There was no flowers blooming at the time, and we were outside. Uh, and she hasn't had a problem since. So,
Nope, nope. Vicky asks, "Do you always know if you have an attachment or no?"
no, you do not always know that, Vicky. Now, the thing about a spiritual attachment, um, and if it's negative, uh, because they were once human, and everybody who's in chat, everybody, we all know, we don't like to sit and wait for things. We want, people are normally movers and shakers, man. They want shit now, and that's the way an attachment is. It doesn't wait to make itself known. It doesn't hang around very long. It starts letting you know right now.
Right.
Um,
But sometimes those tells are very subtle. And
right,
if you're not paying attention for them, you won't notice
right.
them.
And like Andrew said, sometimes, you know, you don't even notice them until there's a change. Somebody notices a change about you, or an attitude problem or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the way that you find out,
Yeah.
or
Or a random
you
onset
have fun.
anxiety attacks, random depressions that
Right,
aren't really in your character.
right. I would say that when I had my Zach moment down at the Roadhouse,
That was probably a partial attachment.
but it was not an attachment to where I don't think whatever, I think it was more of an energy attachment. His negativity kind of attached itself to me. And
I think if you didn't tell him off, he very well could have followed you home.
probably,
If we wouldn't have dealt with it then and there, and you just
yeah,
said, you know what, I'm not feeling very good. I just want to go home, and we went home. I have a feeling he would still be at your house.
I don't think he would be. And here's the reason: because that particular spirit down there takes great joy in bullying the rest of the spirits that are down there.
Yeah,
So I don't think he would have left personally.
I don't
Um,
think because he can go back and forth if he chooses, though.
yeah, he
So I
can,
mean,
but I think he really likes it there because based on all of our research and based on what we know,
well, right.
he doesn't want to be around me. He wants to be down where all his domain is.
Well, where his power is.
Right.
Yeah,
And so anyway,
I still think it's a potential attachment still.
yeah, I think it was more of an energy thing, though. I think his negativity really just, rubbed off on me, and that was it. I mean, the
Yeah.
fight was on.
No, it was.
And all I can say is the last time you and I were at the Roadhouse, he sure didn't make himself known that night.
No, he did not.
Nah,
No, he
he
did
doesn't
not.
want a piece of me because
No.
um, I think I pretty much told him what was going to happen, and I'm still under the guise of if Mike wants me to, I will go and take care of business, and I think he knows that. So
Okay, Ashley, no problem.
okay, I can actually see chat. You and I are frozen on the Ghosthunter feed. I don't know why, but at least I can see you.
If you refresh it,
So
it'd probably fix itself. But
yeah, and I'm
we
not going to take the chance.
we have five
So
minutes left, so don't worry about it.
yeah, I can see chat and I can see you, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, guys, is that this is one of the biggest telltale signs between demonic and negative entity. A demon has forever to take your soul. Ultimately, a demon is after your soul. Uh, a negative attachment, it can't do anything with your soul, even if it could get it, and it can't. It's basically a soul itself. So can I go over to Larry's house and say, "Hey, I'm taking your soul. See you later"? It's not possible. For a demon, however, it is. And a demon, they like to take their time. And they don't generally toy with you and stuff until they really have their claws
The
sunk
hooks are
in.
in, yeah.
Right.
And they're
So
they're not going to make themselves known to anyone that has the ability to get rid of them.
no,
Like they're
no,
not going to come out at an investigation and be like, "Ooh, Dan can get rid of me. I better mess with Dan." No, they're going to hide because they
right,
know Dan can get rid of them.
right.
Which is why
If
whenever you
well,
see someone going, "This place has got demons in it," oh, do they really?
right.
Or are you just a crackpot?
The thing is, you guys, is I've said this many times, is I do believe that demons exist. I've talked to many priests. I even talked to a bishop about it, and that particular bishop who was a practicing exorcist at one time within the church told me, he said, Dan, he goes, my biggest problem is these demons have more respect for Christ than my congregation, the power of Christ than my home congregation does.
Yeah.
Now that speaks volumes, guys, on the power of prayer and the power of what you believe in. So, I think there's something to it. I'm not going to tell you guys all that you need to, grab a Bible and go to church, because Sandy Walls and I have talked about this numerous times. I wear a cross around my neck all the time. It's always there. But that just reminds me of who's watching over me. If you don't believe in what that cross represents, it's just another necklace to you. To me, it's what protects me. It's what reminds me of who's there watching out for me.
Right.
You know, Andrew says he'll take your demons home for you. Andrew
You
actually
can have
wants
them.
to see a demon, so
You can have them.
I just hope I'm not with him when it happens. Because
Yep.
I gotta be honest, guys, I don't want to tussle with a demon. We as a team are not equipped for that.
Well, Dan, we've got just about 2 minutes left. Let's talk about what our next show is going to be, when to expect it, and all that fun stuff.
2 weeks from tonight,
So
because it's
today's the
going to be every other Tuesday.
23rd. That looks like it's going to be May 7th.
So May 7th,
Yep, May 7th.
Tuesday, May 7th, we are going to be talking about orbs.
Yes.
And
Now, in the event that Dan gets called into work or I have a baseball game that day, we will reschedule and you guys will know.
Yes, we should be okay though, because Larry's usually done with baseball games by 8 o'clock.
Yes.
So we shouldn't have any problems. Hopefully, I'll have my spot back for the next show.
Normally, my games run out and end just about 7:45 though.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that we might start late.
Yeah, we may push it back to 8:30, and if that's the case, I'll actually put a message out.
Yeah.
On the page that says we're going to start a half hour late.
Yep.
So
what are we going to talk about next time then?
The only bad thing about Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock is I think that's when Annie's on Paranormal Warehouse. So I don't really want to.
I mean, there's shows every night on Paranormal
Right.
Warehouse. We're gonna interrupt one of them, so
Yeah. I just, if you guys want to join Annie, you can join her and watch our archive. You can join us and watch Annie's archive. I mean,
yeah,
it all boils out the same at the end.
right.
I just don't like to interrupt Annie's shows, which we're only doing it 2 nights a month, which she's on every Tuesday night. But Annie's got some great shows. So,
Right.
but I feel we have some great shows too. So,
I feel like
um,
tonight's topic was very interesting. But what is our next topic, Dan?
I already said, man, it's orbs.
Right, but what are we going to talk about with orbs?
Well, we're going to talk about how Larry and I classify orbs, and what it takes for an orb to even have our consideration. Even if he and I agree at the end of the day, yes, this is an energy orb, we're probably still not going to post it because there's too many other things an orb could be. And you guys, you have 2 weeks, get your stuff together, get everything together, because this is going to be a show that I'm sure is going to have a lot of controversy and a lot of, if we ever have BS in chat, this is the show where we're going to have BS in chat.
Either you love
So,
orbs and you see millions of them in every picture, or you hate orbs and you never post a picture with orbs in it.
yeah,
There's no middle ground. Like, everybody either loves or hates them.
yeah. I don't disagree. I mean, when we were at the Vets Hall last time with Sarah and Kathy, that was an orb.
Yeah.
It looked like an orb, and it did some really crazy stuff. And actually, Sarah caught it.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and just because she caught it on video, video when it comes out and does something and then goes back and disappears, I can't really contest video, but pictures, it could be so many other things, guys. It could be dust, it could be pollen, it could be a number of different things. It could
Fog,
be
moisture in the air, snow,
Yeah, so geez, somebody's raising hell outside.
a bug.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about. One thing that I want to mention before we cut off the air, which, I mean, we could go to 10 o'clock if we wanted, it's our time, but we're not going to. Ashley taking the paranormal by storm. She's in chat. They are well underway with the Stomp Out Bullying. The Stomp Out Bullying, I just lost my train of thought, Larry. Thing that they formed. It's
Group?
Paranormal Against Bullying, and Ashley has a group up that many other paranormal groups have taken part of and joined up. They've joined us. We are proudly part of that. They've joined us in the fight to stomp out bullying. Ashley, I don't know if you're going to start a page on that or not. A page is so much easier to let everybody get involved with, whereas a group, it's good to have the group for the founding people who are dealing with it, but I don't know if Ashley will do a page or not. The group is, I think, open if you. Oh, Sandy says the page is up. So Sandy, if you want to drop that link right here, so everybody that's in chat can see it. It's a worthwhile cause, guys. There's more causes that are near and dear to my heart. The one that Annie talked about missing and exploited children. The bullying one, my daughter was bullied very badly. There's veterans committing suicide. There's the suicide. I mean, there's so many causes, worthy causes to get behind, and we can't do them all. But bullying pretty much affects anybody and everybody in some way, shape, or form at some time, and so that's the one that we've taken on. And check out the page. Check out Ashley's efforts, because within a week she's made this thing go absolutely bonkers, and it's really cool. So Parabully Busters on Facebook. Check out the page. Go and give it a like, give it a share. Give Ashley and Sandy and those guys some kudos. Sarah Stream, because they've taken it and run with it. And it's really kind of funny how it came about, because this is something that Sandy and I talked about 3 years ago. I mentioned it to Ashley, and Ashley she grabbed the ball and she's running for the touchdown. And I'm very, very happy that
Hey, I'm the
she's
first
put up.
person to like the page besides for Sandy. Yeah.
Well, I'm not doing that because I don't want to lose my feed. So as soon as we're done, I will do that. So
Woo!
guys, thanks a lot for showing up and joining Larry and I for Paramania. Join us next Tuesday. How did you guys all like our little 10-second trailer? Because that's what we're going to do for every show. 10 seconds. So probably a week
There's
before the show comes
20
out.
seconds.
Or 20 seconds.
20
I'm sorry,
seconds.
Larry.
20 seconds.
I did not mean to step on
You
your
you
editing
you
prowess.
quoted half of the work, and I did
I
double that.
did. I did.
I
So
I put in a lot of work yesterday.
Larry did.
A lot of
Yesterday
work.
was a big, big day for us, and we will be sharing everything that happened yesterday with you guys very soon. So
Yep, a lot of good stuff coming up here soon. You guys are gonna be very, very excited. I hope.
I know we are. So
I'm excited to get through it and get it done.
I am very, very excited that Larry and I are finally going in the direction that we've always wanted to, and
Yep.
it's phenomenal. And
Yep.
you guys will find out when we announce all that stuff exactly why I didn't have time to be more involved with the uh,
Yes.
parabolian stuff. But
Yes. And we have something very massive coming up in October too. So that now adds to the pot.
yes,
Adds to the
yes.
pot.
So, but you guys have a great night. Thanks for joining us again at Paramania. And if there's a subject you want Larry and I to talk about, shoot it over. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's up for grabs. We don't care. We'll talk about it
Or do our best trying.
or do our best to try. We are going to, in the future here, review some videos, and we really have to check and see what the parameters are for us to review a video.
It should be
And
okay for fair use, but
yeah, and plus Mike and Briggs on Paranormal Warehouse do a really good job of doing the debunking videos. So Larry and I aren't going to do any debunking, but one video we do want to talk about, and we probably will talk about it in May. I know we're running over, Larry. I'm going to shut up here in a minute. There's a video surfaced from Michigan. Larry and I talked about it, about the couple that caught their baby being scratched by an entity. We're going to review that video. We may not be able to show it, but we
we
will
should be
share
okay.
we're going to try to. We will
Okay.
share the link so you guys can see it, and then we're going to talk about it. And Larry and I are going to give our opinion on, okay, did an entity really do this to the kid, or is this something that these guys are trying to hoax?
As long as it is a review for educational purposes, then if fair use applies.
Yeah. So, and we're trying to educate our fellow
Our community,
investigators.
educate our community.
So, so anyway, guys, this is Dan, Ghosthunter Larry, Paramania. You guys remember to be kind to one another. Larry,
Peace.
peace. See you guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.